Army CID is a lead investigative agency, and we have a joint task force with our federal law enforcement brothers and sisters. Joining us today are law enforcement professionals who have been incredibly valuable and dedicated throughout this investigation. They have demonstrated true interagency cooperation and teamwork during this very trying time. And Army CID would like to express our sincere appreciation. From my right is Army CID Special Agent Russell Hudson, and to my left, FBI Supervisory Special Agent Bill Gadd. Unfortunately, a representative from the Texas Rangers could not be with us today, but we want to express our thanks to them as well. Again, it's critical to point out that this is an active investigation that includes 3 alleged murders of U.S. soldiers, 16 counts of attempted murder, as well as an alleged suicide. I will only be releasing information that we feel confident will not jeopardize the ongoing criminal investigation. The following information and sequence of events are based on information yielded from our investigation thus far. The information has been obtained from witness interviews, witness statement analysis, forensics, bullet trajectory analysis, and an extensive crime scene examination and recreation. As I have stated earlier, the crime scene encompasses a very large area comparable to 2 city blocks. At this point in the investigation, we can confirm that the alleged shooter, Specialist Ivan Lopez, was involved in a verbal altercation concerning his request for leave and the processing of that request at his unit's administrative office. We will now walk you through the basic scenario that we have recreated from our investigation thus far. Members of the media will be provided a copy of this map after the briefing. The verbal altercation occurred at building 39001, circled here in red. The building is located at the intersection of 72nd Street and Tank Destroyer Boulevard. Within minutes of the altercation, the subject brandished a .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun and fired multiple rounds, killing 1 soldier and wounding 10 additional soldiers. The deceased soldier and at least one of the wounded soldier had been involved in a verbal altercation with the subject prior to the shooting. The subject then exited the administration building through a door on the south side. He got into his privately owned vehicle that was also parked on the south side of the building. The subject then drove his vehicle westbound and turned north onto 73rd Street. According to witness statements, the subject was traveling very slowly northbound in a southbound lane. Along the way, circled here in yellow, the subject fired his weapon from his moving vehicle at 2 soldiers who were standing behind the building, wounding one of them. He then continued north and turned west onto Motor Pool Road, and then turned into building 40027's parking area, circled here in green. Specialist Lopez then allegedly exited his vehicle and entered the building, which encompasses the unit's motor pool office and the vehicle bay area. This is also where Specialist Lopez was assigned and worked. The subject opened fire and shot 1 soldier in the motor pool office, who unfortunately later died of his wounds. The subject then moved to the motor pool's vehicle bay area and began shooting, wounding 2 more soldiers. The subject then returned to his vehicle and began driving eastbound on Motor Pool Road towards 73rd Street. While driving eastbound, depicted here by the blue box, the subject allegedly fired into the front windshield of a moving westbound privately owned vehicle that was occupied by 2 soldiers, striking and wounding the passenger. The subject then turned north and then east into the parking lot of the Medical Brigade Building, 33026, circled here in blue, firing at and wounding a soldier who was walking outside the building. The subject then exited his vehicle and entered the main entrance of the medical building. Upon entry, the subject allegedly shot and killed a soldier who was on duty at the main entrance desk and wounded an additional soldier. At this point, we do not know why he entered that building, and we may never know why. The subject then exited the medical brigade, re-entered his vehicle, and traveled south on 72nd Street and turned east into the front parking lot of building 39002. The subject then exited his vehicle, circled here in purple, and walked eastbound across the parking lot where he approached a responding Fort Hood military police officer. Subsequently, there was a verbal exchange between the officer and the subject. The military police officer drew her weapon and fired one round when the subject reportedly brandished his weapon. Autopsy results of the alleged shooter from the Armed Forces Medical Examiner has confirmed that the subject was not struck by the military police officer's fire. The subject then allegedly placed his .45 caliber handgun to his head and took his own life. This entire scenario described lasted approximately 8 minutes from when the first 911 calls were received until the shooter allegedly took his life and we received calls that the shooter was down. At this point in the ongoing investigation, we have collected more than 235 pieces of evidence. We believe the subject fired more than 35 rounds of .45 caliber ball ammunition. Army CID special agents, along with other law enforcement partners, collected 3 spent shell casings from inside the subject's vehicle and 32 shell casings from various locations throughout the crime scene. To date, we have canvassed or interviewed more than 1,100 people associated with this case. The evidence recovered in the commission of these crimes is being processed at the Defense Forensic Science Center, U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Laboratory in Atlanta, Georgia. I can also confirm that we have completed processing of the crime scene and have released the entire area back to Fort Hood officials. As we have released earlier, we have only one alleged subject connected to these shootings, and he is deceased. We have found no evidence that these crimes were connected to a terrorist or extremist organization, but again, we have not completely ruled that out in order to conduct a thorough and complete felony investigation. We have not confirmed a definitive motive, but are doing everything possible to do so. We are considering all credible information and evidence to include social and digital media aspects of the case. We have not uncovered any history of criminal convictions or previous criminal activity by Specialist Lopez. Once again, we would like to thank General Milley and his entire staff for the support that we have received during this investigation. It's been very trying for the whole Fort Hood community. As I stated on Friday, we are fully committed to this investigation, and we will continue to investigate aggressively and pursue all possible leads and information associated with this case. We sincerely hope, all of us in law enforcement, that our efforts to diligently seek the truth will in some small way provide comfort to the loved ones of the deceased and wounded who are struggling through this difficult time. To protect the integrity of this open investigation, we are not releasing any further information at this time. I'm not taking any questions as I announced earlier, but I would like to sincerely appreciate and show my appreciation and thanks to the media who have been very cooperative and shown understanding during this difficult time. Thank you very much.